I swear to God, you just can't get the staff these days. Right, while we wait for Matt to turn up, because he will be here eventually, honest, I thought I'd just jump in at my own real quick and keep the people who are patiently waiting, occupied, I suppose. Entertained, I guess would be the word. I hope you're all well. Sorry there's no CHEBS last week, but we're back now and ready to talk about a couple of things. One of it should be quite nice to put to bed, the whole Horus Heresy thing. I think that's, hopefully, unless more information comes to pass, I think that's kind of done now. There's been some damage sprues and stuff that we're going to need to talk about as well. Was that the reason everything got sent back to, GW from the major third-party retailers? I'll have to wait and see. As always, GW just are not even slightly, transparent. It's annoying. It's a very corporate thing that they just, this stuff happens. You get speculation and you get no comment, and it makes it seem like they're not listening, or they eventually do come through with some half-assed statement of some description. I understand Matt is incoming soon. I have got a message after several of mine in capital letters. So yeah, Custard 123, although I would agree that, the game itself doesn't look too bad. I mean, it didn't need much fixing in the first place, and I do think that the changes they've made are, for the most part, quite positive. Apart from, as I've said, the terrain looks to be pretty rubbish, and the whole being able to shoot a whole squad when you can see one guy, that's not great. But, that aside, I do think that the game's probably quite good, which makes it even more of a shame that, due to the handling of GW, the way that they have handled it, no matter what way you look at it, you just can't say that they've done a good job. The sales speak for themselves. I think I'll quickly just field Chris's question earlier. First question for the Saturnine Aftermath: is the 3.0 HH release the worst release Games Workshop has done in recent memory? I would put it up there. I really would. I'd put this next to Curse City. That kind of level. This is potentially a disaster for GW, because although this is an ongoing product, your launch, you really only get one attempt at a launch. You know what I mean? Like, you get that first impression, and I'm not entirely sure that the one for Saturnine is, one that GW can be proud of. I don't think it's one where, the meetings that are going on at the top, I don't think they're positive. I really don't. And I hope that doesn't impact the specialist games department. I hope it doesn't lead to them going, right, you know what, Battlefleet Gothic, we're not going to bother. We're going to leave it. No new models, no new nothing, because specialist games divisions, they're the ones that get to do the more esoteric parts of the Warhammer 40,000 world, or in this case, the Warhammer 30,000 world. And it's a shame that, any impact on this, on the mishandling of the corporate side of GW, and say the social media side of GW, might have an impact on the specialist games guys, because from what I understand and the conversations I've had with people like Louise Sugden and stuff like that, that's where all the old school guys, from earlier in the day, still lurk. I think that this has been rushed, is how I feel on it, really. I don't think that, people were expecting to fall into the 3-year turnover that they have with 40k. Armies are put together in a different way. People take a different pride in these armies to what they do with 40k. And also the average age is probably older for the Horus Heresy. Just a reminder that Matt is going to join us, but he's having some kind of crisis at home. I have no idea what it is. I have got a message from him. Hopefully he will be here soon, and this won't be a one-man show, because nobody wants that.
Also, look.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. That's loud. Hang on. Let me just change my Discord settings real quick. He arrives. He lives until I kill him later.
only in Battlefield.
Yes, true. Well, sometimes not even then, to be honest. Right, let's just.
So yeah, hopefully, specialist games come out of this semi-fiasco unscathed. I hope so. The impression I get from this situation is that the directives are handed down from above. We want you to make the game a bit more accessible. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. We need to sell more models, make new ones. And they're like, we can do the ones that we haven't done in plastic yet. And they're like, no, do new ones.
New ones, yeah. Right, guys, just check that you can hear Matt, because he joined late, I didn't have any time to do any audio checks. So let us know you can hear the tardy bastard. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure they've made it any more accessible, because that was the worry, obviously, was that it would all get dumbed down to bollocks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of rules and stuff missing. Like the previous edition had a lot more, USRs, things like that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that the new edition has less moving parts.
No, I would say the new edition has more, if anything, because it's got so many sub-steps now to the game. The actual game itself has been changed to the extent that they were going to do four turns rather than your normal amount, which I don't think is good for the game either. Right, before we do... Excellent. We can hear Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. As long as Kevin can hear me, that's fine.
That's it, exactly. It's all good. So before we get into the Saturnine, we are going to quickly, guys, review Kill Lupercal, just because I've got the slide set up that way.
Now, are you watching it again?
No, hell no. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? Because we had a month in between the first 2 episodes of Kill Lupercal, and then there was a month, and then they released the last episode, which was a bit random and a bit crap, really.
That's the way to make an anticlimax, that is.
Isn't it? Yeah, exactly. It's like, this better be good. Oh, okay. So,
like an uneventful extraction on Helldivers 2. You've gone through loads of shit to get the objectives done. You've got all the secondaries. You're good. You've destroyed all the bases, all the nests. You get to the extract, and you're just kind of like,
oh, nothing happened.
Where is everyone?
I mean, if I had to describe, if I had to describe the Kill Lupercal in one sentence or phrase, it would be a lot of passing of the Bechdel test and not much action. Really, it's a hell of a lot of women talking to each other about stuff and not much going on. So we're gonna have a quick go through it. We will do this quickly because the Heresy is the main focus here, but I did want to cover this quickly because me and Matt both saw it, and honestly we both thought it was a bit shit. In all honesty, we didn't think it was that great. So we're gonna have a go through it. I mean, you can see here from the animation style, it's not mind-blowing, it's okay. I mean, I would say it's computer game cutscene kind of level, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, the thing with cutscenes for computer games, most of the big studios probably have a lot more budget for their video than
maybe. I mean, potentially, but GW is putting out 2 of these a year, but at this stage, we're not getting that many animations. And when it comes to the actual CG rendered animations, we're getting 2 a year, more or less. And this did not impress.
Not so much.
The animation on the face is pretty terrible. It's like borderline PlayStation 2. This is not the team that did Pariah Nexus at all. No. And there was some cool Space Marine action, but it was very, very sort of sporadic. Do you know what I mean? It was I think there was one little engagement in the first episode where the Titan just blows away a load of Thousand Suns. There was one little engagement in the second episode with the tank destroyers.
Oh, with the shadow sword.
Yeah, with the shadow swords.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was just lots of these princeps talking to each other. You got your main female character princeps here. I don't remember her name. There was nothing about her that was interesting at all. At all. Her voice acting was okay, I thought. It was okay. Not great. Okay. But there was nothing about it that was interesting. There was some kind of relationship between her and this potential mentor, the one that was sitting in a casket of fluid for some reason.
I think that's just borrowing from not Titanicus. It's a Hell's Reach.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
One of the major principes in that is like a woman floating in a tank.
gotcha.
With no hands or feet.
Okay. So I mean, you've got these two sort of talking to each other, and that's sort of the main of the characterization in it. It's lots of, as I said, the Bechdel test, them two talking, and that's, you know, the kind of almost the focus of it. So you got some action, and it looked okay, but I've got to say it was just nothing to write home about. This is meant to be the Horus Heresy's debut animation? Am I correct?
I think so. Definitely the one focusing on Titans. Is the first one.
And they go for kill Lupercal, and we kind of all know that's not going to happen.
That's what I said. I'm like, what weird premise. You're trying to get people who like 30k and Titanicus to watch this, and you've already started off by calling it something that you know is never going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
and you got this bit where she's speaking to the machine spirit, and lo and behold, the machine spirit's just an older version of her. That's not how that works.
I'm sure it's not, no.
Jesus, what happened to these Titans having their own identity and their own... You know, I might have missed something, but it was all so boring. I couldn't tell. And everything in the background is all blurry. There's no animation here. Look, there's nothing over here on the right-hand side. It's just the face. Yeah, to save on the budget. And it's like that all the way through. So, yeah, like an old version of herself that she's speaking to. I think this is at the end of the first episode. Well, no, the second episode.
I think that was so boring, I don't really remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, the Titans looked okay. And they sounded okay, and they the sounds and the void shields and all that kind of stuff. But all we got was warlords.
Yeah.
No Reavers.
Again, save on the budget. We only need one model.
Yeah. One 3D model, just colour it slightly different.
Or just change the weapons on some of them.
Yeah.
Although not enough to appease me.
No, like, I mean, just...
Especially at the end. Like, by the way, have we given a spoiler warning for this? Because I don't know if anyone has actually seen it.
I don't.
Or we're just about to fuck it all up for them.
I honestly don't think anybody gives a fuck, mate. I really don't. Sound off in the comments if you do care about spoilers, but there's not any major spoilers in it anyway, really. And yes, I agree. Dan Abnett's Titanicus is a good Titan story. This was not.
Titanicus is amazing.
So I mean,
Titanicus and Titan Death, two of my favourite books.
They come across a load of shadow swords, blow them away, and then we've got a month wait while we wait for the final part. And basically, the two male princeps get one line each, and then they're bumped off. And then it's down to the three female princeps, one of which runs off and gets herself killed, because obviously it is all a trap. Spoilers. Then the major, the girl in the Majoris princeps in the amniotic fluid stays behind and gets herself killed, because it's basically an ambush by Legio Mortis. And then it just ends with this female princeps going, we fight on, or something like that. And I was just like...
Yeah, find me a target. And it's like, surely you should go back and get fixed first.
Is that it?
You were fucked up when you started. It's even worse now. Go and get your Titan fixed. It's a valuable asset.
I was like, is that it? Is that seriously the entire thing? 45 minutes, and literally nothing happens, but lots of girl bosses are about. So yeah, this is the one that charges in, because basically she's like, I can still, and the main princeps, I don't know her name, she wasn't that interesting, is like, no, it feels wrong. This is wrong. Don't go in. And then she charges in, and it's a flag because they're morons. And then she gets murdered, and then all the fighting as well is at really close range.
Yeah.
Warlords have a range of miles.
No, I've always said like Titans are like the battleships of like the battlefield in 40k. Like everything that you can apply to battleships and naval combat pretty much applies to Titans. They're a very, very rough like analog for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's your battleship with the biggest guns. We'll put it at the front really close. It's like, what are you doing?
And it's fair enough if you're armed for combat and you've got claws and stuff, and one of them is, but they're running around with the Bellicosa cannons at point blank range. Like this, look.
Yeah. I like to think that a power claw on a warlord is a contingency plan.
Exactly.
Not a goal.
And as I say, there was no warhounds to do any flanking or anything like that. It was incredibly boring.
Yeah.
It was like watching the most boring game of Adeptus Titanicus you've ever seen.
There's none. But you don't get boring games of AT, though. That's the thing. They're all awesome. Because it's one of the best games
I mean, as I say, we'll get into the Heresy, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. And honestly, I thought this was pretty awful. Again,
This fucking animation was heresy.
yeah, the
What it
animation's
was.
bad. It's heavily focused on the female characters. The male characters are all stupid and get bumped off straight away. And I can't believe they didn't learn their lesson from the Knights one, which did exactly the same thing. And I'm pretty sure this was done by the same animation studio. And it's just a waste of time. And it'd be okay if these were coming out like every month. If we got one of these every month, it'd be like, all right, never mind, because that one was crap, but we've got another one coming up real soon. Maybe that'll be better.
You mean another Kill Lupercal or another animation?
Just another animation in general, like
clarified that.
A cool 40k one, or another Horus Heresy one, or something like that. But if this is your debut Horus Heresy 30k animation, it's shit. It really is. The story's awful. The characters are non-existent, and there's a piece of absolute crap. And I have read Penitent, yes, and there is spoilers all the way through that. I'm waiting for Pandemonium. And yeah, this just isn't good enough, GW. Like you killed off loads of very promising web animators who were doing this quality or better for free. And now you're putting these animations as being the selling point, although they're not, of Warhammer Plus. And if this is the garbage we're going to get, you ain't going to get... Nobody is going to sign up to Warhammer Plus to watch this. Nobody. I'm pretty sure that... Because they did announce that Warhammer Plus subscribers have gone up in general. And I'm pretty sure that is all from the app. All from
5 to 10.
Well, it's I don't know, it's like 220,000, I think they said, which is quite a lot. But I'm pretty sure it's all for the app, literally, because it's just people who like do the gaming competitively who want the app at all times. But it's not good enough. If this is the quality that we can expect, then YouTube was doing better. I kind of feel like that, like Iron Man. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. I kind of feel like that. This is it's not good enough. And like Chris says, 4 minutes for Starters 2 split into 10 episodes will be coming next 1 to 6 years. Yeah, and it's all Primaris. I saw the trailer for that and I was like, yes, fucking yes, this looks amazing.
Very interesting.
And then they were like, this is just a preview. The actual thing's going to be an anthology and all Primaris. And I went, oh. No Predator tanks, no Firstborn Space Marines, sad panda time.
None of the good stuff.
So I think that's just where I am on Kill Lupercal. Just an absolute non-event, just shit. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think my problem in general with stuff like this is, and this is a bit of a tangent, is that games like the old games like X-Wing and TIE Fighter and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter fucking spoiled us as like teenagers and 20-somethings or however old you are, because they're packed full of details and new shit, and it's fucking great. And there's all these different like snub fighters, as they're called now, like you get the X-Wings, Y-Wings, A-Wings, B-Wings. There's all different stuff, and you've got all different TIE fighters that you kind of only glimpse in the films. Like you've got TIE fighters, bombers,
yeah, that's right. You've got like what was it, the Defender turned up in one of them, didn't it? Yeah.
Like you get assault gunboats, missile gunboats, all sorts of really cool, interesting stuff. And so I appreciate things for the details. So when stuff like this comes out, I'm sitting there gesturing at the screen like people could see me. Like I give the animation and stuff a pass because it's a means to an end, and I'm kind of like, you spend your money where you can, and you've done a decent enough job, so I know what's going on. So fine, and it's the details that I find interesting. So when they give like a whole bunch of the warlords the same loadout, or when they give all the long range warlords the same stride order, and they get involved with the guys who have got like the Gatling blasters and the claws, and they're up close, I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is this? Like,
the idea behind that obviously
did you ever actually play AT, or are you just doing this to save money?
GW will not want. It's an advert for the models, isn't it? GW will not want anything on screen at any time that is not a model. So you won't get, new additions to the lore through this because
no,
you won't be able to buy them.
I don't expect to see new stuff get introduced through this crap.
But you were talking about like the TIE Defender, because obviously that was something new that got introduced.
That was.
And the same with the, what was it? The Raider in Star Wars Armada. And that was an amazing looking ship.
That little Raider Corvette.
Fantasy Flight Games co-worked with Lucasfilm to make it. and
Yeah.
it looks in universe, and yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's not so much getting new stuff, because I consider this to be secondary canon. So anything that they put in this comes like secondary to the main canon, which is stuff that's in the rule books and then the novels, and then you get kind of tertiary stuff like this. That's like how canon works, basically.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, we don't have any other animation. And when the Dawn of War intro looks 10 times better than this and has a better story than this, I'm like, what are your creative studios doing?
You're sounding dangerously like an orc sympathizer at this point. But no, but what I mean is, like, when you get games like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, they increase the level of detail in everything because they add new stuff. You don't have to add new stuff to get more detail, but obviously when you do add new stuff, new detail comes with it. So I watch things like this for the detail, and I'm like, look, right, you've got a shitload of Titans, you've got a shitload of weapons that you can put on all of them. They all work in different ways. I expect to see details here that match up to my expectations.
Yeah.
When I see a fucking shadow sword get taken out by 2 rounds from an apocalypse launcher, I'm kind of like, that's not what that's for. I'm not convinced it'll do the job.
Yes, it does kind of. It definitely feels like nobody who made the game, and obviously that was actually James Hewitt, who's no longer at Games Workshop, had any say in this animation. They were just like, it's going to do this, is that okay? And then speak to the... Because I've worked with licenses before, and you have to check things, obviously, with the license holder, constantly. And they're probably just like...
anyone actually played the game had anything to do with this.
That's what I'm saying. I think the person who handles the license at GW hasn't played the game. And basically looked at it and went, yeah, that looks like our stuff. Yeah, that's fine. And didn't do any
animation, didn't play the game, and that's criminal.
Yeah. So yeah, a massive fail for me. Really disappointed, and just not really. I honestly not even worth watching, in my opinion. It's just such a complete non-event. If you were to take the action scenes with the Titans in it, it maybe amounts to 2 or 3 minutes.
You know what it is? This is like the Games Workshop Titan equivalent of Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
It's like, in concept, you're like, this is going to be fucking awesome, and you're happy to see them on the screen, but everything surrounding that is just pony, and it's no good.
I even thought from the title "Kill Lupercal" that maybe we might get a bit of perspective of the Sons of Horus or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like something from both sides, but they just had to get shot, and it was just nothing but these female princeps talking to each other, and this Titan very, very slowly stomping around and not doing a lot. So Kill Lupercal, out of 10, mate. What are you going to give it?
Oh man, for putting Titans on screen and they look accurate, I would give it a 5. For basically it being grumpy ladies talk to each other and dudes get shot, I'd probably put it at 4.5. Yeah,
I'm going to give it a 4, because you can basically recreate this with 2 or 3 models from Adeptus Titanicus and just literally moving them about in front of you with your mobile phone.
And you should, and then go and play games of it because it's great. Yeah,
Adeptus Titanicus is a great game. It deserved better than this bollocks. So that's enough of that. Onwards.
That was too much of that.
That was too much of that, indeed. But as promised, we're going to talk about Saturnine, and I kind of hope, in all honesty, that this is the last time we talk about Saturnine, because I don't like doing drama, but it had to be covered, and it's it has got us loads of subscribers, but I don't want to be Discourse Miniatures. I don't want to be, constantly bitching on Games Workshop. We'll hold them to account when they fuck up, and they fuck up regularly, but I do want to talk about the hobby more. So we're going to talk about Saturnine, and we're going to talk about it in order. So the first stage of Saturnine, I know I've done slides and everything, look at this, semi-professional, or at least it would be.
And you were away all weekend.
It would be if my co-host hadn't turned up half an hour late. Anyway, the rumour mill. So the first we heard of this was, as always, from Valrak. He's basically saying, I mean, I was surprised at the amount of people who were surprised that the new Horus Heresy came over after 3 years, because GW do set patterns. Chris, I need to put "it's over" in big capital letters and put a picture of myself looking sad.
We need to stop referencing her. My fans are going to turn up. We'll get raided.
She did actually do a video today, like quite late to the thing, and it's got so many more viewers than us. Matt, what I'm going to do is I am going to make you start wearing a purplish wig and doing an Irish accent. I think it's our only chance to get 1,000.
We need more. No, you need Mike for that. Mike's the one that can do the accent.
Yeah, but will he wear the purple wig? I don't know.
I'll just sit here going like periwinkle blue and do like dags, and then everyone will go, mate, that's not Irish. Those just no. And I'll be like, that's the best I could do. I'm sorry, it's a rough approximation.
So yeah, we heard the rumours, and Valrak started to talk about this whole Saturnine thing and these Saturnine Terminators and this Saturnine Dreadnought. So it's like, okay, we're going to get Saturnine. I was like, I don't know if we need Saturnine. We've already got Cataphracti, Tartarus, and technically Indomitus, although it didn't, kind of end up being a thing. Because for a while, Valrak was saying, like, you're going to get Indomitus Terminators and they're not going to have Crux Terminatus on it, so you can use them for Heresy. And obviously we didn't end up getting that. So
you can use them in your Heresy. But see, I can't even do that.
No, you can't. It's not great. I'll let you off. So that that was the rumours, and it started people talking like what could be in the box. About saying like load of Space Marines, a big dreadnought, like bigger than you've seen, and some Saturnine Terminators and stuff like that. And then there wasn't much coming from GW. We waited month after month after month for them to do the reveal, and they didn't. And then what we got was first of all we got that leak box. If you remember, they just put a picture of the box. And we sort of zoomed in. We were like, "Holy crap, he was right! It's all kind of, it's all correct. There's the Terminators. There's the and we couldn't quite see the scales, but everything looks suspiciously big.
I was very sad because when I first heard about it, I was kind of like, I had a Saturnine Terminator, an old metal one, and I'm like, it was a shit model when it came out. It's got no real charm. It just looks like a fucking Pac-Man Terminator. Yeah. It's just awful.
Yeah.
This can't be real. They can't do plastic versions of this. Doing the ship design in plastic doesn't make it magically better.
Yes.
It just improves the detail, but the overall design is still shit.
There are other ways to do nostalgia, jangling and key jangling. It's not something that's going to necessarily work. So we got that image, and everybody was like, okay, fair enough. Well, GW have got to announce it now. And then we got that preview, if I remember correctly, where we got to see everything, and they got all the models, and it's a new thing for the previews, but they got the models and put them next to each other, and we were like, oh dear, that Saturnine Praetor is bigger than Jagatai Khan.
What have you done?
We might be in trouble here, kind of thing. This looks like 40k bait, basically. The models have taken a step away from that very utilitarian Horus Heresy style, and all of a sudden we have Aquillas everywhere. And only the Emperor's children are meant to have Aquillas. And I know it's a Saturnine Aquila, I don't care. It's like it's so stupid. It's like the Emperor's children were held above all in regard so much that they got the Emperor's Aquila, but they didn't feel that special about it because Saturnine had their own version of the Aquila. So what I mean? It just cheapens the original, and I feel like GW do this when they introduce new things. It cheapens the original that came before, and I'm not a fan of doing that.
I think you should take it up with Vulcan. You know what happened? He kind of showed them the prototype with no Aquillas on them, and they were like, yeah, that'll do. Just don't tell the fabricator general. Make as many as you fucking can and distribute them. And then he was like, lols, I'm going to slap Aquillas on all of this shit.
On all of them,
Grim, that pussy hole. And then they did. And then the Emperor's like, the fuck is this? What have you done? Fulgrim's kicking off over there. Like, Eidolon's crying because now all these fuckers have got Aquillas on. And Vulcan's like, you want me to take all of these back to the shop? All of them? From active war zones? And the Emperor's like, oh, for fuck. I just feel like
Vulcan just rops up and goes, yo, bitches, I heard you liked Aquillas. So,
what are you going to do? Try and kill me?
I put Aquillas on your Terminators.
Yeah. I put Aquillas on your Pac-Men. Off you go.
So, yeah, we got to see them all, and we saw that everything was horrendously large. Because GW... as Chris says, bigger is always better, is basically Games Workshop's mantra. And we looked at the Saturnine Terminators and we were like, there is no way that those work from an anatomical point of view. Zero chance. There is zero chance that you can get somebody into that. They're too big, they don't look right, and it put me off the box, I won't lie. It put me off at the box straight away, which is a real shame because the stuff they showed after that during the preview, like the Fellblade and the Breachers and the Destroyers and the Assault Squad, I was like, Why didn't you put that in the box? I would have bought
Yeah,
two. I would have bought
exactly.
two. I would have bought two of them.
Yeah, why didn't you put stuff in the box that we actually need and want? Oh, because then you've got to come up with more stuff afterwards to sell us.
Exactly.
So instead, you put the stuff that no one asked or wanted to put in the
Yeah,
box.
exactly. And I did a video where I put together my own box.
You did. Even I thought that was good.
Which I think had jet bikes, destroyers, breachers. So one side was like fast attacks. So it was like jet bikes, assault marines, and character and whatever. And then the other side was like, you know, the defense side, as it were. So it was the breachers, it was the destroyers, and I think I put a tank or something in it, like a whirlwind or something like that. And you know, I thought that was a much better box that would have been more useful. But GW want to push this Saturnine thing, you know, which does seem kind of dumb, you know. I just and the thing is, I expected them to be like, right, you'll be able to use all this stuff in 40k to try and cannibalize some 40k sales, and they didn't even do that.
No.
So very odd from GW. But we saw a load of stuff afterwards, and we were like, right, sod Saturnine, don't care. The other stuff that we've finally been waiting for 3 years is finally coming. So happy campers all round kind of thing.
Thanks. Can you sell those with the rulebook instead?
In it, yeah. And then during the preview, they were obviously asked some questions, and they were like, this is just a little tidying up of the rules. It's just a little bit of an adjustment. It's not much of a change at all. Honest. Wink, wink, Adam.
I think one or two things happened there. Either someone fed the social team some bullshit and they just ran with it, like because Spec Games were too busy or something, and they were just like, "Oh, just tell them it ain't changed much. Like, it's a new edition. How different can it be?" And I'm kind of like, "10th edition."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or they just made it up on the spot, and they were just like, you know what? We got away with that custode shit with the boobs. We'll go with this as well. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We didn't get in trouble for that. We can't get in trouble now. Just say anything.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't like the Saturnine stuff. I do think it's 40k bait. I don't think it's necessarily needed. And I do think it cheapens everything that comes before it, kind of thing. Because it's just like, we now have this new thing that's the bestest ever type thing. I will say that the Crusade and Heresy group on Facebook, as well as I'm sure loads of other hobbyists, have done some cool work converting them, making them look half decent.
They really have.
But I do think that the Saturnine box underwhelmed. There were some people who were just like, yeah, blatantly like, yes. But in general, I don't think that it excited. I mean, putting that turret in it was so dumb.
Well, they've got to sell it. They've got to sell it somehow. They don't sell about 20 of the things if they put it in its own box.
It's down to about 15 quid on eBay because no bastard wants it.
No, it's just I'm just kind of gutted for Cole because he spent like years getting grumpy that like his Deradio Dreadnought, because he loves his Dreadnoughts, didn't get like its Atomantic Pavance or whatever it is, like the invulnerable shield bubble. And
they go and give it to the Saturnine Terminator.
The
Saturnine Dreadnought. Yeah.
Didn't
they take the invulnerable? Didn't they take the invulnerable from the Leviathan and give it to the Saturnine?
They dropped it. No, yeah, they dropped it down. So that I think it went from like a 4 to a 5. So the Saturnine got a 4+ invul instead.
So already at the stage of the preview, I kind of feel like one shaky ground. From our perspective, we were happy with the stuff that was coming up, but we were like, I'm probably just going to try and land myself a rulebook rather than getting this box set. Whereas if they put better stuff in it, I would have definitely got a box set. I mean, I bought the Age of Darkness. It was great. I turned that into my Ultramarine army.
It doesn't help that the Age of Darkness box was one of the best boxes that Games Workshop have ever released for models. Like, it doesn't matter if you were splitting it in half or if you were just making it the core of your army. It was a good, solid, logical, awesome box that really works well together.
Exactly,
it complemented itself, basically.
Yeah, it did. Because, I mean, it wasn't even... It was two sides, but the two sides weren't that different from each other. So it did make a coherent army as one whole. All right, you had two Praetors, but you could just convert one. It's fine. Just convert one if you wanted to. It was still a good army. And as I said, that was the basis of my army. But this Saturnine box just didn't seem to do a lot of anything. You know, the Mark II were cool, models. But I was like, you know what, I'll just get those. I'll just get those from eBay. That's fine. And in the end, I didn't need to because GW released them on the same day. But we'll talk about that when we get to the release. So yeah, we had the preview, and they said that, there's not many changes. But if I remember correctly, didn't they discuss some of the rule changes in the preview? And even just then, we were like, hang on, that sounds like quite a lot.
I think they went over the new statuses. Because
yeah.
at this point.
Because they talked about the stat line at the very least, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They went, old school stat lines are coming back. We're bringing all the old stuff from like Rogue Trader and Necromunda, and we're putting it in this. And I was like, oh,
yeah, exactly. Custard123 says, "Have you seen the one done without the shoulder pads? It looked quite good." Yeah. If you talk about the Predator, I put it in a video that I did.
When I put one together, I'm considering doing that because way before, well, not way before, but just before they released the box, someone leaked out the instruction sheet, like the whole booklet for the thing, and in that you could see that the shoulder pads were separate and the arms kind of like looked okay without. There wasn't like any open bits where you had to actually cover them up with the shoulder pads or anything like that. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I can put them together how I want.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I did think they kind of looked okay. I mean, I would just be, from my perspective, I just think they're too big. So I think I would be tempted to get some 3D prints and just scale them down a little bit. Keep them on the same size bases because obviously, base size matters apparently. But I would just scale them down a little bit, just like 10-15% or so, because they're just too bloody big. They're just too bloody big.
They are. Not like Mike with his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that he 3D printed off on his brand spanky new filament 3D printer. He fucked up the scale and made them twice the size.
He did, yeah. They're giant.
They look good.
They do look good.
He's painted them well. But
painted them nicely too, yeah. So that was the preview. And then, obviously, we got some articles on Warhammer community. And the more articles we got, the more we were like, this is not a small change. You don't change the stat line if it's a small change. This is not the little tidy up of, of second edition that we wanted. This
certainly
is
not 2.5.
Yeah, this is a lot of new stuff becoming, a new edition, very much so. That, people were going to have to accept a lot of change. And as we looked at the rules, we were like, okay, well, that sounds kind of cool. Like what they did to vehicles. Yes, that's cool. The Titan rules, I think, are great. They've got the different locations and hold points.
Yes. Yeah, Titan Knights were awesome rules.
I think they get a good point for that. But then I looked at the challenges and I was like, Christ, that sounds like a lot of palaver.
I think a lot of the stuff when it comes to challenges and combat looks really complicated or just a little bit convoluted, but all they've basically done is broken down the stuff that people instinctively do anyway and just put it in writing. It's not that bad.
I think that they thought that would be a good area for them to inject some to inject some Legion flavour. We were like, we could do all these different gambits and have different gambits for different legions and give them some flavour that way. And that probably should have been a warning signal that because they're putting flavour in there, it's coming out somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah, which definitely is the case.
So, we maybe should have been alerted then. But overall, I've got to be honest, and we did a video about this, I was fairly optimistic about the rules. I was like, this does not look like a complete shit show. They've not Age of Sigmar'd it. They've not got rid of roll to hit, roll to wound, blah, 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 blah. It looks okay.
I'm okay with the rules. I very, very roughly play tested it against my daughter and she beat me. But it's only because I gave her... we had like 300 points of Marines each, and I gave her the assault squad, and I had a tactical squad, and we had like a Centurion each. And to stop her from getting the ump too early, I skipped my first round of shooting. So unsurprisingly...
so here comes the excuses. Here comes the excuses. Yeah. My daughter only beat me because I skipped the first round of shooting.
It's true, I did. I have to live with her, see, and I don't want to get enraged.
But yeah, so that was the preview, and that was the Warhammer community articles, and we were like, okay, so, it looked like it might be okay here. Then we got the leaks. Now, leaks are kind of inevitable. GW are really bad at stopping them. They could just give people a PDF that's personalised. And, you could find the leaks that way. So whether or not they want to, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, next was the leaks. And this is where the shit kind of hit the fan. Because the rulebook leaked first of all. And we were like, okay, well, this isn't too bad. And we were getting bits and pieces. This was the thing. We weren't getting the whole thing at once. And if you remember correctly, we had the fuck Pardo situation.
Yeah, it doesn't help that it was released by a fuckwit who wrote all over it.
So, you know, we weren't getting the full situation, and GW were being decidedly stum over the whole thing. We were getting radio silence. So the fans were left to digest the leaks in their own way. Now, I would have, if I was GW, would have come out saying, look, we've seen that a load of stuff's leaked. We will have actual information for you really soon, kind of thing. Because by leaving this to fester, and fester is what it did, the fans were just like, this is fucked. Especially once the Libers leaked. Because once the Libers leaked, people realised that there was a shit ton of stuff missing. And I do mean a shit ton of stuff missing. And people quite rightly weren't happy about it. So, what was your thought on those leaks, Matt, and how they handled it?
Well, initially I was kind of like with any leaks, unless you can confirm that you're seeing the whole thing, you kind of have to sort of. You've only got like limited knowledge to assess what you're seeing. It's like, yeah, we know roughly how the game works because we've seen most of the core rules, and it can't be too dissimilar from the previous edition based on those. So we've got a rough idea of how these units work, because they can't work too differently from how they worked before, because it's what they're designed to do. So
yeah,
you know, I'm always a little bit kind of hasty to judge from leaks unless we can confirm that we've got a whole lot, and you've got some time to sit down and actually put models at the table and work through them so that you can see it in practice.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a worst case scenario as well, wasn't it? Because, you know, it was like...
baffling.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much stuff missing. Anything that added any flavour to a Legion was gone.
Yeah, I still don't really know what the fuck happened there, because I'm like, you did a damn good job with the second edition. It was like a decent update to the first one without fucking up too much stuff, or any of it really, and not a lot got stripped out at all.
Nope.
From the majority of stuff that people use. So
the only legending that happened with Horus Heresy stuff was for the 40k crowd, which was quite funny, because they spent the entire 6 months after the release of Heresy going, here's a new tank, you can use this in the 40k. Here's a new tank, you can use this in the 40k. And then the new 40k came out and they were like, no. And people were like, oh, oh really?
Thanks for that. And I was kind of like, where the fuck is most of the stuff? Like, we're not seeing page numbers on these leaks.
Yep.
So I don't know exactly how much stuff's missing.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got a table of contents, but that doesn't exactly always tell us how long any data sheet is.
Yep.
Or if there's another section later that's got stuff that was taken out or whatever. But then once we started seeing like scans of the actual book, like all the pages in sequence, it was kind of like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
I understand that you're taking stuff out because they're models that you don't sell directly, but that's never really been what Heresy is about.
Which ties into the rumour of them getting rid of all the resin.
Yeah.
You know, anything that was going to be resin is going to be gone, basically. Now, we knew about the journals at this stage, or the, what they called.
The Germans?
No, not the Germans. The journals, they're not called journals. Journals Tactica or something they're called?
Oh, the little books.
Yeah, little books. Anyway, whatever they were, the Isfan thing. And I realised at this stage that what we were looking at was DLC.
Journal Tactica.
That's it, Journal Tactica. And I was just like, look, this is all going to be, well, not all maybe, but this is all going to be, sort of addressed piecemeal. And they're going to sell you your units back in these stupid little books that you'll need. So if you want to play a game, you're going to need the rule book, and you're going to need the Liber, and you're going to need whichever journals have got your rules in them, kind of thing.
Now, technically, I don't have a problem with that, because it's what they've always done. What I do have a problem is with them taking out existing stuff and then selling it back to you. Rather
exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. If you're going to sell me a journal and be like, right, this is the Isfan, or say, for example, this is the Betrayal at Calf, the War for Calf journal, and be like, here's some special characters that only fought in these in these wars. and they're only available in this journal, then I'm like, yeah, that's fine. If you're like, here's a unit the Ultramarines came up with to combat the word bearers, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You're adding to the narrative. This is all well and good. You're not saying that they're everywhere, but you're just saying, look, if you're playing a Betrayal at Calf or something like that, then, you know, you can use these units. That strikes me as being absolutely fine, and that's what the journal's for. It's optional. If you
the way
want,
a campaign book should work.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have those in your army, then yeah, get the journal, however you mean to get it, and add those units. But the fact that they ripped a load of stuff out and are then sending it back to you is decidedly DLC EA-like, where it's like, we've taken stuff out of the completed game that we've made, like a couple of levels or whatever, and we are going to sell it back to you later. That's not cool.
No.
Especially for
sounds,
like a hobby.
It sounds decidedly management, you will follow this corporate policy fucking arrogance. That's the way it went for 40k.
Yeah.
And someone sitting in like middle to upper management turned their yellowing, jaundiced eyes towards Spec Games and are like, you guys need to start towing the fucking line. Stop making rules for shit that we don't sell.
A lot of the Horus Heresy stuff has been out of stock for the longest time, so I do think that it was doing quite well.
Yeah.
You know, and I reckon that attracted the attention of the higher ups at GW, like, oh, we can make a lot of money out of this Horus Heresy thing, you know? Not that they weren't already. And unfortunately, it's that whole thing of like, you know, when the BDI turns upon your hobby or your, you know, whatever you want to make it mainstream, you're like, oh, I'd rather this BDI of Sauron had not turned upon me. I wish I had not lived to see such times, you know. So yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? It was becoming quite obvious that we were basically going to be sold back our units, and in the meantime, we were going to have to make do with this Legacies PDF, which had been in the roadmap that they put up, but had not been really highlighted in any way by GW. And therefore quite a few people who were caught up in the furor over the leaks and like, all my shit's missing, were, you know, not aware that this would be coming. And the thing is, this is what GW have fundamentally misunderstood regarding the Horus Heresy, is that your average Heresy gamer, and I've said this so many times, is not the same as your 40k gamer. They're just not the same. They put so much more stock into the narrative side of this game and making your units just so. And if a character is, you know, with a certain weapon, making it just so, and to take those options away is pretty brutal, because there was people who were losing. We had a chap on here who posted and said like he was losing 80% of his army because it was White Scars and jet bikes. Now that might be coming back in the PDF, but you know, in the meantime, you're like, well, shit. So GW didn't address this at first. Now, obviously, what was happening there was they were scrabbling around a little bit. You probably got managers or upper management who were like, look, this could affect our stock price. We need to make sure we get this right. Whatever the case was, you know,
swearing at specialist games that have got a shitload more work to do, and they told you so.
Yeah. You know, because whatever people say, and I've seen the article that argues against this, 30k Horus Heresy is a historical game.
It's,
you know,
it's fielded that way.
It's fielded as a historical game.
All intents and purposes, that's what it is.
Which is why I personally am so pissed off that they've put female custodies into it. Do what you want with 40k. I've nearly written it off. I'm like, 40k is just rapidly turning into a cartoon. That's fine. You know what? I will still have a passing interest in it, and I'll still collect the models because a lot of them are really cool. But 40k is just turning into a cartoon. It really is. You know, I'd hate. I can't imagine what the Dark Eldar are going to look like when they finally get round to them. Like I've said so many times, it's going to be like, you know, they don't go on slave raiding parties. They go on parties with punch and pie. You know,
we need to go on a trip to get more prisoners with jobs.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think they're going to survive contact with 10th edition, if I'm being completely honest with you. And 40k, you know, as I say, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I've got 30k. I like the aesthetics of 30k. I like the stripped down aesthetics behind it. I like the fact that they've got vehicles with tracks and not stupid flying hover tanks, all that kind of stuff. Yes, this is fine. And it was a sanctuary for a lot of people who'd kind of lost 40k, who were, you know, the older grognarderish types like us. And we were like,
Hello.
yeah, we've got 30k, that's fine. Fine, thank you very much. And we didn't want that sanctuary to be pissed all over, which is what it looked like was actually happening. So, yeah, Horus Heresy was looking to be kind of in trouble. And GW finally addressed it with an article that wasn't brilliant because it made it quite clear that, A, they hadn't really anticipated this, which speaks to a certain naivety on their parts, but B, also that they put in the article exactly the things that people were talking about. And we saw that list of stuff in the PDF and we were like, I'm Minuten bitter. This looks a little bit sus. You know, Tartarus Siege Squad? You what?
Got chain fists.
Yeah. And we were just kind of like, yeah, I'm not so sure. And this coupled with the fact that there's been no app for the Horus Heresy, you know, I was also like, kind of, this release is looking a bit rushed and a little bit foobar, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I think they got this article out just before it went on pre-order. It was like 5 days in between it all kicking off and GW finally getting the article out saying, look, the Legacy PDF is coming shortly after release, lol, on the 26th. You know, it's all going to be fine. Link at the bottom, please, you know, make sure you order your copy of Saturnine, kind of thing. And then, you know, a lot of people were like, this is bullshit. You just added to this. A lot of people just weren't happy with the way it's been handled. There was no sort of apology. There was no consideration on any side from GW. There was no personalness about it. It was very corporate. It was very corporate, like, you know, there was no humanity behind it.
For anything.
They won't. Yeah, they just won't. And obviously that's due to, you know, they've got investors to think about, shareholders and the stock price, and that's their main concern over anything else. It sure as hell is not the hobbyists. So we move on from there. Oops, I forgot to cover this. So we've covered this as well, technically. So the backlash, the response, and we go on to the release. Now, the release, it wasn't great, was it? It went up on pre-order, and generally these things, I mean, I remember the stage, if you remember with Kill Team, there was actual scalping sites that were nothing to do with GW saying, buy this GW product and, you know, and scalp it, pay 10 quid to join our group or whatever and get access to the bots to allow you to buy 10 of these and scalp it. I imagine GW are actually desperate for those days again when it comes to Saturnine, because it did not sell out straight away. It did not sell out the day after. It did not sell out the day after that. It did not sell out the day after that. And when we went looking at some websites, and I've done an article about this saying that I thought Saturnine might have flopped, you know, we could see that it wasn't really selling very well at all. So we're going to get to the stage after this at the moment, but I think this is a good point to just say, first of all, acknowledge that Saturnine has not sold well, because it bloody well hasn't. I'm sure those that have picked it up are very happy with their purchase, and I hope they are. But it's not.
I helped out Alchemist Workshop. Thanks to you.
You did indeed, and they're down to 170 copies now, so they're kind of getting there slowly. But that's still a lot of capital. Still a lot of capital there. I'm an R over it constantly. I've got the rulebook, and I've got myself a box of Mark II Marines, and I'm just like, oh, I don't need it. I don't need it. But it's cheap. It's cheap. And PayPal paying free exists, and I'm like, no, I don't need it. Don't need it. Yeah. The thing is, I don't think I'd do anything with it. I really don't. So probably not going to bother. But anyway, we had the release, and it didn't look like it was going particularly well. And I did a video saying, you know, has this flopped? Because I could see that, you know, it weren't going great. And then Wayland released the stock, reduced the price by 35%. before it even released. So it's still on pre-order.
Not promising on the pre-orders, is it?
And they dropped it by a third. Obviously, it had already been 20%, so they just knocked an extra 15% off. That is not far away from cost. It's not far from cost. It's making a very minimal amount per box, just to get rid of it, clearly. And obviously, this spread like wildfire. And you had people, cancelling their orders with other places and getting it with Wayland or whatever. And it was just not a good look for GW at all at this stage. And I imagine those conversations were getting slightly more sort of angry and
heated.
Heated is a good word.
Intense.
So I think that GW is starting to realise the magnitude of their cock-up, which is not in the slightest bit helped by the fact that they decided to release the only thing from the box that I wanted separately. So along with Saturnine, you could just buy a box of Mark II Space Marines instead. And I was like, all right, that saves me getting the other crap,
There was one slight caveat to that.
What's that?
In that there's no disintegrator weapons in the tactical box.
That's standard, though. That's standard, and that, again, is Wargaming DLC. So, right, we'll put 20 Space Marines in the box, but no special weapons. So you buy those separately. So if you want your 20 Marines, it's not really £52.50 or whatever it is. It's £52.50 plus the £18 for the Special Warriors box, plus if you want to put them in a Rhino, they're 30 quid each. It is just basic Wargaming DLC. But I just wanted some Mark II Marines. I was like, you know what? I got a 3D printer. I need to sort it out and sort out the FEP because the last print didn't come out properly. But I can print as many add-on shoulder pads or whatever the hell I want. I can do that. I've bought my Mark II Marines. I can convert them up using stuff. So that's not a problem. But yeah, the release was not going well at all. And GW are putting out more stuff saying that, please buy it. Here's another article, please buy it. But what we had not got upon release, as promised, was the Legacies PDF.
Probably the one thing they should have done if they wanted more sales. Put the stuff
Why did GW not have this damn document ready to go on the day of release? Ideally before the day of release.
Before would have been better.
Why the hell didn't you put the Legacies PDF out when you did the articles and say, look, this is here's the new army building rules, here's the Legacy PDF, off you go and sort out your new army. You'll be pleased to know that we're recommending that these are used in competitive games and tournaments. And you could have headed all of this off before it really exploded. It is quite staggering how badly GW have handled this release. And going back to Chris's question earlier, I do think this might be their worst ever release. I can't think of one that they've cocked up more than this. We can give Cursey a little bit of a pass because that was just some intern maybe saying the wrong thing, and there was mitigating factors like as in with the time it was going on, the lockdowns and that kind of stuff. But this is one of your, and GW have said they consider Horus Heresy to be a core game now, which is why it's falling into that kind of 3-year pattern, which is far too soon for people to update, with these big expensive books and get all these new stuff all the time. But yeah, I can't think of a release they've screwed up more than this, and a response to the hobbyists that they've screwed up more than this. It's shocking. It really is. It clearly wasn't ready. I don't think the game was ready. I think they were pressured to get it done in time, and 3 years is just, not enough.
Yep.
The PDF wasn't ready to go, so people were getting more and more pissed, and all it's doing is it's just generating more and more bad blood. There's more people going, you know what, fuck it, I'm not bothering, I'm just going to stick with 2 and house rule a couple of bits or whatever. What it was not doing was it was not selling copies of Saturnine. And I'm still amazed that they've not said, right, here's some 40k rules for you to be able to use your Saturnine Terminators and Dreadnought, because please God, we need to, sell these boxes. So, no app. Legacy PDF at this point is running late. Boxes haven't sold. Wayland have reduced by a third. It's looking like an absolute shit show.
They literally put the effort into all the wrong bits.
Yeah. Everybody's doing articles articles and videos saying that Saturnine is cooked. Absolutely cooked. And GW are just flustering about. I don't think at this point they're even doing any articles about Horus Heresy. I think it's just literally the only thing coming from anybody is negative vibes recording. There's a few people who are like, it's fine, you're all whining about nothing, but it's fine. But there's loads of people who just not been appeased, and they're just like, look, this is not the way that we want us as hobbyists or this game that we love to be handled.
I'm having some very awkward conversations with spec games on how to salvage it.
Yes, yeah, quite possibly. Expect 40k rules for Saturnine soon. So, yeah, it's looking bad. And then on top of this, we start seeing that people are receiving damaged sprues. Because GW have put a load of sprues in a box with no protection from a big, heavy book that's going to get thrown about when it's being shipped. So I don't know if you remember the release of, I want to say it was Indomitus. Both the models and the book both came in protective slipcase boxes type thing. In this, or at the very least, they used to have, do you remember that little bit of cardboard where you got a poster that went in between the sprues and the book?
Allow me to check. Do carry on for the moment.
In Saturnine, as far as I'm concerned, there was nothing. It's literally box. Well, the book's in a case, which in some places was kind of ripped open, but it's literally just left to batter itself on these finely detailed models, flattening studs and skulls from the pictures that I'd seen. So this is, causing problems. And I'm wondering if that is what has resulted in companies like Wayland now having no stock, because perhaps it's all been sent back to GW, or maybe they're checking it all for damage, because they might have received calls regarding damaged stock. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Nobody is saying good stuff about Saturnine, and this is why I dived onto Crusade and Heresy to see some cool conversions that people have been doing, because I desperately wanted a little bit of positivity about Saturnine. Just a little bit, while not ignoring the complete shit show that has been done of it.
Well, minor point. There is a sheet of cards between the models and the book is in a slipcase.
Right, okay, so the book's in a slipcase, and you've got that kind of... It used to be like a piece of card the size of the box.
That's the one. It's got the art on one side, and it says Warhammer, the Horus Heresy on the other.
Okay, so they are still doing that at least. But a load of people have been having... And it's been specific parts as well. It was
skulls on the belts and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We're getting battered and just... because sometimes bits get knocked off of sprues, and you're like, that's fine. As long as the bit's not broken, I don't care if it's not attached to the sprue.
Yeah.
But if your actual model is taking damage, then you're going to be like, well, hang on a minute, I've paid a lot of money for this. And let's quickly talk about the price on that, because when this first came out, or when it was first released, previewed, I said this is going to be 195 quid, and I was spot on. Because I just felt that it's obviously going to be more in Age of Darkness, because that was 183 years ago, and yet they wouldn't go over 200 quid. So 195 just seemed like the correct point, and it was. Although the value is there when you split everything up separately, I think, like Scaventide, the community have decided that is too much to be spending on a new edition of a box every 3 years.
Stuff they didn't ask for.
It's something they didn't ask for. It's a load of new 40k bait, And I think all of these things conspired to make Saturnine just not sell. I honestly think that turret may have put people off as well. Like, if you're taking that turret out and put something half decent in there, it's like, the Legacy PDF's got the bloody Hammerfall bunker in it.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a bit of a retcon.
That's a Primaris thing.
Yeah.
They're obviously not selling many.
Not sure they look fucking awful.
They are awful. Please buy this Chinese piece of plastic. So yeah, between the damaged sprues, lack of sales, a lot of stock disappearing from various third-party retailers completely, and just even not being listed or saying out of print, Saturnine has been an absolute disaster. And I don't think anybody can argue with that. Whether or not you think that Saturnine is fine the way it is, it's, there's no problems with 3.0. It's all absolutely fine. Then, and if you're enjoying it, hell yeah. If you're enjoying the models, hell yeah. But it has not succeeded. It has not succeeded at all. Successful games don't have, what was it? Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming went on Wayland and found out they had 945 copies before they now have 0. Because he just went on and added stuff to their basket until it ran out of stock to apply to the basket.
The Mordian chap said that he thought that was a ridiculously high amount, but given that they're the biggest third-party retailer of Games Workshop stuff in the country, I would probably say no.
In Europe. Well,
yeah. And I'm
absolutely.
sure that there was at least 1,000 people that might have actually gone to their website and gone, we need this. Assuming that's what they had left. That's obviously, we don't know how many they did sell before that.
Obviously, like most companies, and I will just have to speculate here, they would look at previous sales, they would look at, patterns, and they would have a system for predicting, the amount that they would sell. Obviously, if you think about it, if you manage to sell, so say, for example, you're making 20 quid per box of Saturnine. Just say that as I don't know how much. Just say you're making 20 quid on a box of Saturnine. If you manage to sell 1,000 of them in one go, that's 20,000 quid.
Decent profit.
It's a decent profit, you know what I mean? As a 1 week hit. Also, we need to address that GW have not always been great with keeping things in stock. So, if you don't get all the stock you need at the start to fulfill your customers' needs, and you have to wait, you're leaving money on the table.
Well, I think that's probably more of a recent thing, the amount of stuff they actually fucking make.
So, for example, I'm pretty sure that when Age of Darkness came out, it sold out straight away and didn't come back into stock for several months. Because with GW, you got to remember that releases and remakings of things, republishing and reprinting of things, are constantly fighting against each other for production time. Those machines run like pretty much 24/7, and you've got windows for things to be remade. So like, right, this week we're going to remake all of the spearheads for the Chaos Warriors. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to run all those sprues. And, those sprues will both do the Chaos Warrior spearhead and the individual kits. So that's, say 2 days worth of solid printing those. That's 2 days that something else can't be made. And when you're like, right, we need to put something else back in stock, you're going to have constant juggling and all that kind of stuff. This is why they're expanding their capacity with another factory at the moment.
Yep.
So, you can't blame retailers for being like, well, maybe I need to get this now, because if I can't get this now and we don't hit this hype. And also, what you also need to understand is that when this happens, you're going to get sales managers from GW on the phone saying, like, if you want to get, if you want to get this, you need to get it now. You need to get all of them now. I kind of imagine it being like, I don't know if you've seen the film Boiler Room, when Vin Diesel was trying to sell that guy that stuff, the shares. I kind of imagine it being like that. And he goes like, oh yeah, I'll take 10. He's like, 10, you're wasting my time. I don't speak with people who are wasting my time. You want 50 of these. You want 320 of these, kind of thing. This is going to, I tell you, this is going to sell out. This is the new hot, this is the new shit. This is going to, Horus Heresy, look at your previous sales. This is going to go bonkers. And that's not happened, leaving a lot of the third parties to pick up the pieces. And some of them were operating on very fine margins. When you've spent you know, thousands and thousands and thousands on copies of Saturnine that aren't selling, that's capital that you cannot afford to not be making back immediately to buy more stock that would sell. You know? So, you know, GW are being their usual non-transparent selves in that they're basically, you know, we're not going to find out. We're probably not going to find out unless somebody leaks the information why these boxes have suddenly disappeared from these retailers. It is very unlikely that 945 copies were shifted in one day. It's very unlikely that Darksphere managed to shift all their copies.
It was the Legacies PDF. Oh, Legacies, eh?
Yeah, well, I would say that, but wasn't the Legacies PDF released after that happened? I can't remember now. But yeah, I mean, on Darksphere, it's not even listed at all. You know, it's just not there. So what happens here is this affects the confidence of the third-party retailers for future releases.
Don't want it happening again.
You don't want it happening again. And GW don't want it happening. GW are terrified of having another situation like Dreadfleet where they have to liquidate a load of stock. And we're pretty sure they did the same with Scaventide. You know. And for GW, that's 2 releases in a row that have gone absolutely tits up. Scaventide, which was last year's big release, if I remember correctly. And now this. You know, have we maybe hit the ceiling of what people are, you know, willing to pay on these big box games? Do GW maybe need to look at doing a different format? It's all Indominus's fault. You know, Indominus has sold out so well and so massively that they were still taking orders for it like a year later on made you know, make to demand or whatever you call it, print to demand. Yeah, that box with the Space Marines and the Tyranids. Sorry, Space Marines and the Necrons. You know, it sold out that much. And I think that's basically, you know, all these companies, these third-party retailers we're talking about, just couldn't get enough. It sold out instantly. Instantly. And I think that's just made GW just go all out on this model of like, we'll just do this release box, we'll put the rule book in there. You know, it won't be the starter set because that comes separately later. Although I don't see that really happening for Horus Heresy. But for the, you know, the 40k and the Age of Sigmar, it's not the starter set. They do their free starter sets later. Their beginner's edition, the Commander edition, and the big starter set, whatever it is. But maybe this is a sign that that particular release model just isn't going to work anymore at the prices that they do it for. Because, you know, to GW, the plastic is the thing they make the biggest markup on.
Well, yeah.
That costs them pennies to make. And
yeah, they do it themselves. And, well, I mean, the moulds are expensive, but...
Yeah, the steel moulds are expensive, but once you've got that mould, you can make the sprues for like a penny each.
Yeah, anything holding them up is getting the cardboard printed and shipped from China.
That costs more. That costs a lot more. So, you know, them packing out a sprue with sprues and sprues and sprues and sprues of stuff is okay for them because they're like, right, well, you know, the other stuff in the box maybe costs, like, I don't know, like 20 quid or whatever. And then the sprues on top cost a £5. And we can sell it for 195. Those are, you know, that's completely made up out of my arse. That's probably not right. But you know what I mean? The sprues are the bit that they can just pack it all with. Yeah. And that's not affecting them as much as... Like, for example, like the tokens are plastic in this release because it's cheaper than getting cardboard tokens made.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So from that perspective, I'm wondering if we're going to... I think they'll do it with 40k. I think they'll still do a big box with 40k, Matt, personally. Which is meant to be Space Marines and Orcs. Because 40k just always... Yeah, it always seems to sell. You know. 40k just always seems to sell. Even Leviathan sold very well. It didn't sell out, if I don't remember correctly, but I think it's sold out now.
But the Tyranid models are really nice for the most part.
Apart from the Psychophage, that can go to hell. And, you know, I think that from the perspective of specialist games, I imagine they're under a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny at the moment, which is a real shame. They've already turned around and said that there are not enough releases, and this is from GW Direct, there are not enough releases coming up for them to continue Heresy Thursday. I don't know about you, Matt, but that leaves me somewhat concerned, because that used to cover both not Adeptus Titanicus, Legion Imperialis, and 40k and 30k Horus Heresy.
Makes me a sad panda.
And if across those two, it doesn't, you know what I mean? If across that two, it doesn't cover enough to do a Heresy Thursday, which is something I always used to look forward to, that's kind of concerning. And I'm just kind of like, what is the future of the Horus Heresy at this point? Are they going to rethink things now because of Saturnine's failure? I certainly hope not.
Yeah, I think it's just I think that's more of a temporary thing. Because if anything, they're going to be doing more books for Heresy than they did before, because they're a third of the size. So I expect them to do releases.
We only got Isfan Part 1, and they've not even announced Isfan Part 2, because they've announced a completely different one, haven't they? And I can't remember what it was. Oh, Saturnine. They've announced a Saturnine journal, haven't they? So,
yeah,
I think it was Saturnine. I'm pretty sure it was Saturnine they announced. So, I mean, it's going to be eked out as much as they possibly can. You know, we're going to get these things fed back to us a bit at a time. You know, I kind of get it on one level. I do kind of understand it on one level with GW, because there's an awful lot of very expensive resin models out there that probably aren't going to sell at this point. They're out of scale and they're prohibitively expensive. It's like, you know, do you buy a resin squad for 80 quid, or do you just buy, you know, the models in plastic and then just convert them up? Do you know what I mean? Make your conversions. Kit bash. The good old kit bash that GW used to be so proud of. So I understand that they're in a bit of a bind. That, like, look, we're about to nix a whole load of our models, like the resin. And we don't have the lead time or the development time to make plastic models to replace them all. I get that. You know, just like the production just like the production queue, the development queue is a thing. They make these models quite a long way in advance, from the the pre-design stage through to the 3D sculpting, through to the tooling for the machines, through to printing and releasing them.
Yeah, a good while ago, we was at an open day, probably for 6th edition. No, it might have been 7th, at the old 7th edition open day, and they basically said that development time on a codex, including the models and stuff, was 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years more or less from starting to talk about it to getting it out.
Yep.
You know, and the models take. You know, when a new range comes out, they're like, right, okay, we can afford to do, or you have been allocated 4 units or 5 units and 2 characters, and that's your release run. Looking at something like the Votan, for example, that got a boost this time round. So it'll be the same. It'll be the same for Heresy.
I remember speaking to Jez Goodwin. Again, at an open day, but I think it was a later one.
We spoke to Jez Goodwin at Warhammer Fest 8th edition, just before 8th edition came out.
Yeah,
because I was bending his ear on the Primaris.
But I don't know if it was then that I spoke to him about it, because he had. Let me see. No, it was before that, because they'd done. Not too long before that, they'd done the Wraith Blades and that release where they kind of did the Wraith Blades and a Spirit Seer and a bunch of other newish stuff. It might even have been I think the Plastic Fire Prism was way before that.
Yeah.
And I kind of said to him, like, we've had Eldar on Jetpacks fucking ages, and we've
seen them. We've seen
new ones. We've seen new ones. Where are they? And he just looked proper frustrated, and he just said, like, look, like, I've got so much stuff waiting to go, but we can only fit so much stuff into production for each release. So we literally have to triage units down to what we think people need and or will sell. So what we did. And that's what you got.
Yeah. We had to make space for more useless Space Marine squads that people weren't going to take. You know?
With their little Action Force missile launchers.
Exactly. So, like everything else, all these different releases are fighting for production. And the Heresy will not be exempt from that.
No, nothing will win.
You know, so we've seen the Fellblade, we've seen the squads that are coming up and everything. Beyond that, we just don't know. Obviously, you know, you're going to get Custodes coming at some point, along with presumably a Lady Custodes character. There's a load of Mechanicum stuff that's completely missing. You know,
I'll attack.
Including the Isle attacks, which obviously we'll probably get in a journal. So, looking forward, there will be a load of stuff, but the fact that they've said there's not enough to do Horus Heresy Thursdays going forward is quite concerning. And I'm wondering if at the moment a lot of the road ahead on the Horus Heresy side of things is kind of being scrubbed out and rewritten in marker, if you know what I mean. Let's have a quick look at the Horus Heresy roadmap, actually, while we're here. 23-24. No, that's not the one we want. There we go. So, July, Legacies of the Age of Darkness PDF. Okay, yep, so that didn't happen. We actually got that in August, but that's fine. Talons of the Emperor Army List, yes, we got that in July. So this month, in August, we're meant to be getting the Militia Imperialis Army List as a PDF. Demons of the Rune Storm is next month, along with Legions Inducti. October is the Black Shields with the Shattered Legions Army List, Carl. And then in November, we finally get Zone Mortalis rules. So they're keen to have a pipeline of content to come for the Heresy. That is clear. But I am wondering if they're going to be looking at the state of the Heresy as times go forward and reevaluating. I'm just hoping that GW don't lose faith in the Heresy, because it's the fact that it's been mishandled that has caused the problem.
Not by Specialist Games.
We don't think by Specialist Games. I want to have faith in Specialist Games, because if it wasn't for Specialist Games, I probably wouldn't still be doing the hobby.
Same.
You know, the Horus Heresy was the thing that kept me here, and it kind of kills me a little bit to see it treated like this. Now, loads of people are saying it's fine. Great. I'm glad you think it's fine, and I'm not even necessarily going to argue against you that I think, you know, it is fine. I think the terrain rules and the line of sight rules are very janky, personally. I really don't like them. I never liked it in 40k. The idea that you can see one guy and kill the squad in cover. That's bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit. We'll house for all that.
But, you know, it's not been Age of Sigmar. It's not been completely wrecked, but I do think there are certainly issues. I think overall, what has contributed to Saturnine's downfall was, first of all, the fact that this game really did not lend itself to being completely updated, leading to everybody having to buy new books and all that bollocks after 3 years.
Yep.
And that the community and the hobby community rallied against it in a big way. On top of that, yeah, Kevin, I have taken a screenshot. I've got screenshots, don't you worry about that, because I thought they might change the Legacies of the PDF one, but they didn't. I'm guessing it's because it's an actual graphic. It would involve more work. It's not just text on the Warhammer community site. But the second thing that worked against Saturnine was the box itself. The box itself, I don't think it was exciting enough. I really don't. I think the models are too big. They're too 40k based. The turret doesn't excite anybody. I just don't think it's good. I really don't.
Self-indulgent.
Yeah, I think my box is better, the one that I did. But then I would. And then I also think that if you just taken like the Saturnines and chucked them in the bin and put the Fellblade, the Breachers, the Destroyers, and a character or something like that, just put all the new stuff in it, I think it would have sold like absolute fucking gangbusters. I really do.
It really would have done. But then what would they sell us afterwards?
Saturnine.
Yeah, I've got a big box here.
You know, sell the Saturnine Terminator separately, see how they sell. But yeah, I think the box itself was a big error. I also think the price was too high. I think that even though they weren't willing to cross the 200 threshold, because once you do that, you're like, Jesus Christ, over 200 quid in a box of models? 195 is near as damn it. And I think people are like, if you'd made this box amazing and irresistible, I might have looked at it and gone, 195 quid, minus 20% from discount. Now, go on in, I can just about stretch to that. But for a bunch of models that weren't really infusing that many people, not good. And then on top of that, you had the leaks and the way that GW handled them.
or not.
Just allowing rumour and just kind of like a wildfire to spread through the community, whereas every single time that GW would put an article up on Facebook, it'd just be full of people saying, where's my this? Where's my this? Where's my this? And, you know, to GW's credit, I don't think they deleted all that stuff, because I put one on there about the Tartarus Power Fists, I think. And I also put one on there saying... I put a post on there saying that I don't think GW's handled the release this badly, and they didn't delete that either. Whether that's incompetence on their social media team or just a different approach, I don't know. But they just allowed this wildfire to just spread and spread and spread. And unfortunately, with communities like this, that's going to happen. You know, that bad news is going to travel really quickly. Good news travels good. Good? God.
It's like that scene from Friends, where I think it's Chandler?
I don't know, man. Friends is the 90s. We're pushing it now. I think I audience remember.
I think it's where like Chandler or someone's been saying something, and then right at the end of the episode, like Ross just comes up to him and just smacks him on the head and just goes, "Girls talk."
Oh right, yeah.
It's like grumpy old people in a Heresy talk.
You know, good news hype videos work really well. People get on them and like, yeah, this is great. Yeah. But bad news videos also do the same. Although I've said that I don't want Grumpy Grognard Gaming to be a drama channel at all. I just don't want it to be discourse video, miniatures or anything. I want to talk about the hobby as a whole. I can't deny that any video we do on the negative side of things. What did you say? Yeah, there we go. Tends to do a lot better than the kind of positive videos, which is a bit of a shame. But we're going to try and keep them balanced. As Rusky said, we are the greying knights, not white or black knights. So,
salt and pepper, silver knights, like foxes.
So, you know, I think that it's not completely beyond salvaging, but I think that the things that I've mentioned just led to this release just being a complete disaster from GW's position. That's 2 big releases in a row that they've kind of fucked up. And I don't think Skaven Tide was their fault. I just think it just didn't hit right. They killed off a load of Stormcast, replaced them in this box, gone for a new price point that was more than people were probably willing to pay, and it just failed. It's a shame, because I thought Skaven Tide actually looked quite good. And I even got a couple of the bits separately on eBay.
Doesn't that make it their fault? They did all those things themselves.
No, because I don't necessarily think those things are things that I can... like the ones in the first edition Age of Sigmar box did look rough as hell, so I didn't mind them being redone in the new style. I just think that these things worked against them, but they're not things that I would consider unreasonable. I do consider stripping out 80% of the flavour from the Legions and putting it in the Legacy PDF unreasonable, or to be sold back to you in stupid, what's the name? Journals, unreasonable.
Tactical journals, yeah.
Yeah, I do consider that unreasonable. I do consider overscaling the living fuck out of the Saturnine stuff unreasonable. But I don't consider the contents of Skaven Tide to be unreasonable. I actually thought the Skaven clan rats are amazing, mate. Some of them are 2-piece models.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely incredible engineering on some of those. Really is. And the kind of thing that I'd really like to see GW embrace is simple models, especially for line and file units that are a bit cheaper. You know, it's like, here's 40 clan rats, it's 30 quid. Not here's 20 clan rats, it's 40 quid, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're such simple models, and if it's rank and file, who cares? You don't want to spend half an hour putting together a clan rat. You want to spend about 30 seconds putting together a clan rat. You know, that's it. So, yeah, I don't necessarily think the Skaven Tide did a great deal wrong, but it did a few things wrong that worked against it. But I don't necessarily hold GW to account the same way I am with Saturnine. I think Saturnine is a colossal fuck-up. An absolutely colossal fuck-up for the reasons that I've divulged. I'm going to open my second beer, and I'm going to let you talk for a bit, dude. See what you think.
I say nothing. But no, well, nothing sensible anyway. But no, I mean, I see the difference. I don't really pay much attention to iOS stuff, but it seems like on one hand, one box was an update of models that needed an update, and then the other box was an update of an ancient design that no one really wanted.
Mm.
So, you know, the results is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, there are people out there, and there's loads of them. Yeah, obviously not enough to make the box a success, but there were plenty of people that were hyped over it, and that's cool. And I've seen the stuff that people have done with the models, and it looks fine. But from my perspective, like, if we're talking about interest levels, it was like before the release, I was like, yeah, all right, well, we all know that it's in this 3-year pattern. I don't know why people are surprised. I was like 80% hyped.
Irritated, I think.
And then I saw the box, and I was like 50% hyped. I was like, I'm not too sure about this. And then I saw the preview, and I was like 30% hyped. And I was like, these are stupidly massive. This is towards Saturnine, the box itself, not to the Heresy overall, because, you know, from the Heresy overall, the rules and everything looked okay. But regarding the box, I was like 30% hyped, or 30% likely to buy it at this point, as it were. And then the more time that went on, I was just like, nah, you know what? I'm not going to buy this. And the thing that finally put it down to 0% likely to buy it was when they made they made the Mark II Marines available at the same time. Especially when they also got dropped by Wayland by 35%. I was just like, well, you know, I can spend 130, 40 odd quid in this box with this 30% discount, or I can just buy this box of 20 Mark II Marines for 30 quid. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do the second one, thanks.
Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that was Saturnine, and I hope it's not a pattern for the rest of the Heresy. But guys, you know, let us know what you think. Certainly,
I'm not sure it can be a pattern for the rest of the Heresy. I think they must have learned from this one.
I really hope we see some kind of course correction. If I was GW, what I would have done just to get people talking, I would have taken the next thing for the Heresy. Like we were going to show this in 6 weeks, and I would have accidentally leaked it. You can't see my fingers at the moment. They are making bunny ear quote things, you know. I would have leaked it just to get some good fucking vibes going. Whatever it is, whether it's a plastic Primark that you didn't want to announce or anything, whatever it is, I would have taken a blurry potato photo and just chucked it up there to try and deflect some of this, because it has been bad vibes on Saturnine, man, and it's a real shame.
It's been weird because
GW's fault.
For a company that with their PR that's usually on point, like. You used to get rumor sites like Fayette.
Yes.
And, you know,
they would basically be doing GW's marketing for them.
Yeah.
They would be building the hype train, you know.
They'd get all the traffic.
Yep.
You know, you'd go there and see what was going on. And as soon as Games Workshop effectively took that on board themselves, and as soon as someone leaked something, they immediately went bang and put up a proper article for it with, you know, actual photos taken by an actual camera and not some weird potato hybrid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they sort of deleted a lot of rumor stuff, you know, except for the ever-present Valrak, kind of like in one fell swoop. But, you know, when it comes to people leaking stuff, like rules, and instead of getting on it and saying, by the way, this is the situation, we are going to handle it like this, and don't worry about it, we've got you covered. Here's a preview of some of the stuff that's going to be in the Legacies document. They just kind of didn't do anything.
I mean, we should also mention, I think, in all honesty, another thing that for me personally worked against them, and that was the stupid bloody PR campaign they ran with Horus, Heresy or Hearsay.
That crappy website, yeah.
You know, because I didn't think that did them any favours either. I thought that was really kind of. I don't want to sound like one of the Gen Z, but cringe.
I'm not entirely convinced that having a tongue-in-cheek website is a great way to promote a fairly seriously handled historical war game.
Yeah, it just didn't. That didn't. I mean, you know, fair points for doing something different. I mean, I kind of like the video they did. They did like a trailer, like done in like all different styles, like 80s styles, talking about Saturnine and stuff like that. And I kind of, yeah, but it's not the way I would have marketed the game. Put it that way. And I used to be a digital marketer. Oh my God, Matt.
What? I'm still here. What?
We've got our first bot. It's a momentous moment. We've got somebody. Anne McCormick sent us a Bible quote.
Oh, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jesus loves you. John 3:16. This is not how you spell Stone Cold Steve Austin. She fucked that right up.
Yep. It might not be a bot. It may well be somebody just wishing benevolence upon us all. But obviously, the only God Emperor overall. But
I mean,
yeah, I mean that PR campaign was just a bit. I don't know. It just didn't ring right. You know what I mean? I was like, this is the way that you're announcing the Horus Heresy. What did you think, chat? I know we've got a few people watching. It was slow. It was very short notice, this stream, so I apologise about that. But what did you think about that whole Horus Heresy video and website they did? It was very.
The modern term would be off-brand.
Yeah, just I was going to say cringe. I was just like, what? No, it's just.
I know Cole loved it.
It was like,
all for his benefit.
It was just like, kids, we're cool, we're hip, we're social media, and I was just like,
we're
no,
hip, we're whipped.
No, just no. I would have, and this is one of the things that I would do with Warhammer Plus. I would have put it all through Warhammer Plus. I would give Warhammer Plus subscribers sneak peeks into this stuff because it would help the hype train. So on a Wednesday, I would just, in a video, in one of the videos they do, I would just have some sneak peeks and stuff, maybe in the background, just to generate some hype. Yeah. And, get a bit of advertisement for Warhammer Plus at the same time. I don't know if it actually worked, but it's my idea, and it's probably better than what they're doing at the moment. Yes, I think everyone in PR is fired. Yeah, I mean, I used to do digital marketing, and it's not what it's not what I would have done. I think
that was before you got fired.
Oh yeah, well yeah. No, I've never done marketing. I've never done marketing for GW. I do firmly believe that GW, to a point, just like this is one of the great things when I worked at the third-party stores, was that we didn't really need to market GW all that much. All we need to do is say we had it, and we had it a little bit cheaper than you could get it from GW, and it sold itself. It was great. But I think Saturnine overall, because we're starting to wrap this up a little bit now. I think Saturnine overall speaks to a fundamental misunderstanding on the part of Games Workshop of the Horus Heresy audience. What do you think about that, Matt?
A social team, certainly. I'd say if they were responsible for that, and probably whoever okayed it. I keep going on about Spec Gamers, and it seems that they do no wrong when it comes to me talking about them. And when it comes to games, I would certainly say that strongly seems to be the case, because they don't really deviate too much from tried and tested core rule sets for games that have already sold well in the past. So
your Blood Bowls and stuff like that,
Necromunda, it's all still going strong. But yeah, it's all just been a bit fucking weird. Put it bluntly.
And if they're planning on kill Lupercal to sell copies of Saturnine, that's not going to do the job either. So
or AT, unfortunately.
I think that wraps it up. Really, if I'm being completely honest with you, mate, it's a shame. I think it will be talked about for some time, but I just kind of wanted to put a lid on it. Really, obviously, we will cover anything major that comes up, but I'm not interested in milking this with 5,000 Saturnine videos to try and get views or subscribers. We are very grateful for the growth that we have shown, which has been fantastic this month, and we will try and reward it with excellent content still to come and stuff like that.
I think I got slightly fatter anyway.
But yeah, I think it's a real shame, because I was looking forward to Heresy 3.0, and while I still am to a point, it hurts to see it handled in quite this way. It has
been sullied somewhat, the whole experience.
Indeed. But
of getting a new edition and enjoying the hype and new things and whatnot. But
I still intend to do my models and everything, I mean, it's not been completely murdered for me, and it won't be completely murdered for me even when the inevitable Lady Custodies come along and stuff. You can detract from that kind of thing, but it is worrying signs for the Heresy, and it is, as I said, as I described, it's like the Eye of Sauron falling upon something that had previously been safe. Like Horus Heresy, keep it secret, keep it safe.
You know what? I hate being that fucking guy. I remember when I was selling one of my old cars, I had an MR2 Turbo, and I had that up for sale. And some fucking guy phoned me up, and he was like, "Is the car still for sale?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, what's the details?" And I said, "Well, read the fucking advert. You got my number, but this is the details." And instead of saying like, "Oh, okay, thanks, I'll go and have a think," he was like, "I tell you what, mate, I'll tell you what you can do." And I'm like, "Bye." Sell your own car, cheeky prick. I completely forgot where I was going with that. What the fuck were we talking
I
about?
was going to say, am I the one drinking the beer or are you?
No, I have
We were
tea
talking
here.
about
That
Saturnine and
is-
the Eye of Sauron falling upon the Horus Heresy and
Oh
being
yeah,
bad for
no, that was it. I said I hate to be that guy that goes, I tell you what you can do. But Skyclad did an album called Jonah's Ark, and I think the spoken intro for that album applies disgustingly well here. It's basically a heavily influenced or a satirical take on the spoken intro to the War of the Worlds musical.
Okay,
But
yep.
instead of it being aliens, it's like greedy people are greedy people sitting across polished boardroom tables, turning their jaundiced eyes onto people and hatching foul plots against them. And as much as I'm not one of those people that's like corporate GW fuckers, I hate them.
Mm.
It does seem to be a little bit here of like, you make the stuff, but at the same time, you're kind of meddling in the hobby a bit too much with your pushing for profit over what's actually good for the game.
Mm.
Can you not?
I've said many, many times that I do not trust GW to make decisions that are good for the game, only for their bottom line. Anytime anything comes out from GW, be it a new model, be it a game rule, be it a change in how they do things, I'm never, ever, ever thinking that is for the sake of the game and for the good of hobbyists. It's for their bottom line and nothing else.
Bottom line's pretty healthy as it is,
Which is a
relax
shame.
little bit.
Yeah, but they want it, you know, it's not enough to make the money or a lot of money. You have to make all the money. You know, and they report profit, you know, record profits after record profits. I mean, as I said several times, and I think many of our American you know, viewers don't necessarily understand this. Games Workshop is worth more than our national gas supplier. Games Workshop is worth more than British Gas, or at least it wasn't last time I looked. So yeah,
Which is quite mad in itself, considering where
absolutely
they came
bonkers. Yeah, 5.4 billion, I think it was last time I looked.
from. Madness.
Which is just,
Stop fucking with stuff.
Hell of a lot of money. And yeah, I mean, you know, any business has to make money, and the prices of what they are, and maybe they have reached the ceiling, and maybe they'll do something going forward. But I'll be doing a video soon, maybe even the next video I do, saying what I would do if I was in charge of GW. And there's a lot of changes, put it that way. But I think we'll leave it there for tonight, Matt. What do you reckon?
I think you probably should before you say something that we regret.
Well, yeah, and I get like another email.
Yeah, say nothing.
Cool. Right. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Please leave a comment or a like. You know, sound off in the comments, and you know, if you're feeling really generous, give us a sub. And we will be back next week, potentially with another 40k second edition codex, or something else if we think of another kind of thing that happens. I mean, we might just sign on, just talk bollocks for 2 hours. That's what we normally do, to be fair.
Well, that's how we do that anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you very much, Anne McCormick, for promising us that Jesus loves us. On some level, we appreciate that, just not a very forward level that we're going to show. And if you are from Ireland with your surname and you know the guys in Curb Dog, please tell them that I said hi and thanks very much for On the Turn. It was a great album.
Awesome. Right, we will catch you later, guys.